right. Just a quick sort of follow up to that gold analysis from the other day. 24th of June, and it is 10:42 at night. So, look, we're just seeing gold actually start to really sort of pick up a bit of the speed with this breakdown. Now, we're coming into what will probably be a support. As you can see, is pretty sort of a bit of sort of support where the buyers had stepped up, and this is on the weekly time frame. So, I expect to get some sort of reaction around this sort of 3280, 3290, 3000, big round number, that kind of thing. A bit of a sort of confluence of sort of reasons, if you'd like, that people may sort of be looking to sort of either take profit here or maybe the buyers have sort of step back in to have another little bit of a shot. So I don't expect this necessarily to just chop straight through nice and easily. But if we get down onto the smaller time frame, onto a daily, we can see that, which is probably having about five charts. We're seeing that this actual three drive is starting to play out now. So if you sort of saw what I'd sort of drawn up last time, we were coming up the top. Where was it? It must have been this way, this one over here, when we had the initial attacks from Israel into Iran, and of course, the market spiked up, and then it just sold into it. And it was a very odd sort of thing for me because I thought at the same time, it's sort of like, this is the perfect source for them. They've got tariffs that are still kicking around. Now you've got war breaking out on top of it. That's the secret sauce. And then from a technical point, you had this little pullback channel where you've got your breakout backtest. Everything was saying that if this is the time they want to run it, this is where they should have been sending it right then. But they didn't. They just used it as an excuse to sell into. And it kind of made me sort of think that it's the same sort of thing that we saw back here, as you can see, like a nice little zone here. Because remember, back here was when just after we had that mammoth run coming up to the top side, and they were selling it down. They had the second effort, and they were selling it down. So we know that if this war thing never happened, had it got back up to this level, there's a good chance that this is the sell zone. This is where they're like, yep, this is good enough for us. Let's sell. Let's sell. Just so happened that this war thing broke out, pushes up here. Oh, that's great, bang, and they could sell it into it again. And then we saw America's retaliation, which was what yesterday. Well, basically, we're on the Tuesday now, so yesterday in the markets, and the reaction very minor. So everybody was thinking, oh, well, what's going to happen when that sort of kicks off? But again, it wasn't a great deal that sort of shot that up there. So that's basically just sort of led me to sort of think that they're really just sort of distributing this a little bit and using these latest events as sort of like the hype, because people sort of go like, wow, wow, it's it's war, and what do? Textbook says we buy gold. That's the bread and butter. They're like, oh, sweet, yeah. All these people are going to be saying, yeah, let's buy gold because that's what you do in wartime, and it just did not react. And if you get right down onto lower time frames, if I've got them on this chart here, we could see that, look, even as they were sort of shooting bombs back and forth to each other last week, the market was not reacting at all. So this is that was the Monday gap from the initial attacks, and it's just not revisited that at all there. And we had a little bit of a spike up yesterday, but obviously bang sold into. Now we've taken out of that, like if that sort of war idea was ever a sort of driver for it. And this is what I said in the last video, and that sort of like, textbook people were saying, hey, look, we buy because there's war going on. So that's propping it up. Now you got the ceasefire, and yes, it's a bit of a back and forth sort of situation at the moment, but that reason to buy it isn't there. So these people aren't sort of going, hey, hold on, wait, we buy, what do? We buy gold in wartime. Well, it's not war now, so I'm not going to buy it. Bang. And as you can see, the market is just, they were selling it regardless, and now they're just selling it more, and it's succumbing a little bit to the downside here. So get back onto a daily time frame. Um, so where to from here? I think that we are going to find a bit of a reaction over here. I've just put this line in here, which is a body fill, which is a nice level that I try to sort of work off with these things as well. You've got wicks through this area. Yeah, it's kind of like a horizontal here. So I would say, look, I'm not counting out that you can't see a move down to say 3280s here, but certainly body fills are a good target that I use. And as you can see, market's trying to sort of hold it around this zone here, even if it is just for a brief second or so. So I would say that, look, we will get a reaction in this kind of zone down here, hence this little pushback up here. But I think what's going to be the big tell is the second move. Because if we get a push back up here, and buyers, whether that be buyers stepping in because, you can see, it was a good spot for them to, to sort of push it up, push it up, push it up, and wow, look at this, they've got another shot to buy it at this level. If you believe it's going to 3,700 and you bought it back here, and now you've got another shot to buy it here, and you still think it's going to 3,700, well, this is a great buy, and that's why you'll get a reaction here because there will be segments of the market that are buying that kind of stuff. I mean, you look at what these banks are saying, and they're saying like, 4,000, 4,500, and all these things by, 2026. And, is 2026, yep, we're pretty much done with June now, so that's not too far off. So, in theory, if you're just sort of stockpiling the stuff, well, kind of, a couple of bucks either side, what does it really, really matter if it is going to 4,000? But I do think that there's probably better levels to buy it from. I do think there is a possibility we go to 4,000. I just think there's a better level to probably buy it from before we get there. Hence why I expect a bit of a reaction here. There could be people buying, there could be people closing short, so this kind of stuff here. But I would say that will be short-lived. I think this continuation flow come down here. The RSI looks like it's not finished quite yet. I would say this got a little bit more depth into it, so to come down into this area. So I would say probably a little bit of a reaction. But if we come back down, and particularly the sooner, the higher likelihood that we do get this continuation, you'll be breaking this little support that it's been running up here with. You'll be breaking this horizontal for the 3 drive support, and you're pretty much looking for a measured move, kind of back down to test those wicks that we saw back in, what was it, just sort of start of May. So it's only just over a month ago where we had that big reaction from that sort of big sort of confluence that I sort of covered in the last video. So I think certainly we got a little bit of downside to come here, depending on sort of what's happening. Another thing to throw into this as well is this is all happening with US dollar getting absolutely smacked as well. So US dollar last night, DXY tried for its high time frame breakout at 99.4 and got absolutely blasted. Dropped to like probably about I don't know, about 1.5%. And it's just been going down, down, and gold's also going down, down. So again, it just kind of makes me think that if they do find a little bit of a spark, we got Powell talking in about an hour, a bit over an hour or so. If he can sort of counteract a little bit of what that Bowman and Waller, people, sort of Fed speakers were saying, then we could sort of see this thing sort of revert, revert. We could see US dollar revert a little bit. And if we're sort of starting to see this coming down already, and then the US dollar picks up a bit of a bid, that could be a catalyst to get this thing to sort of drive down a little bit lower. But so far, it's been playing out quite well because, of course, we're up around this level over here where I made that initial video with it all. But I've been looking at this 3 drive build up for a while and coming into this sort of like big sort of sell zone over here. So I think sort of certainly if we see down underneath 32.80, that's going to be sort of, starting to pick up a couple of headlines of is gold done in the medium term. I think watch out for those headlines and people start to pile on for those things there. But I think certainly there's a good chance that we sort of see this thing a bit of a reaction as we are seeing from this zone here now in the body fill. But a second effort down through here, I think could pretty much open the door for a little drift back down to maybe around the 3,100. And who knows, there is sort of reason that we could possibly go even lower than that. But of course, you've got to take these things level by level at the moment. So we'll see how we go. But 3 drive coming back into support. Starting to see a little bit of a reaction. This is why I use the body fills because you do get a reaction as you can see from here. But I think a second effort down here is what I'm kind of looking for confirmation because this will be quite a nice move. Should we get down under here about a sort of about another $100 or so to the downside. All right, that's it from me.